Okay, before we get started on this Q&A, I just want to let you guys know if you have any other questions about other YouTubers, please send them those questions in that YouTube inbox or maybe on their in their Twitter page if you're following them on Twitter, because I'll give them a Q&A for them to do and they'll be able to answer all the questions that you have for them. Because if you ask me, I have no idea how to answer it. So if you have any other questions for any other YouTubers, send it to them via YouTube or on their Twitter page. Now that we got that out the way, let's get started with Q&A number 69. What's up, people? Nature Girl 30 here, and this is another mini Q&A number 69. I cannot believe I've done 69 of these. Guys, thank you so much for sending me questions, and I know I'm going to get a ton of jokes. Well, hopefully I won't, because I have a very classy audience. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for sending me these questions. Lonnie Lowell, I know you sent me another set of questions, but they are geared to another YouTuber, so my advice to you is to send that to another YouTuber because I have no way to answer it. But after that, let's just move on to the next set of questions. Coming from my first set, actually, coming from Mr. John Crunk. I hope I said your name right. Okay, it's John Kunk, by the way. Kunk? Oh, is it? Okay, I don't know if it's Kunk. I don't know. Not Crunk. Oh, I'm sorry. If I call you John Crunk, my bad. Yeah. But sorry about that. I'll just call you John. How about that? I want to make sure I get it right. But anyway, what did you think of the pairing of Maurice and Ted DiBiase Jr. in 2010? I thought they were a cute pair, honestly. They each had the same personalities, especially the fact that Ted DiBiase came from money, and while Maurice loved money and was going after men with money, she was a money grubbing valet. It fit. It worked. I thought, and plus they had great chemistry. I thought they were a great couple. And honestly, I kind of thought they were together for a minute. But she's married The Miz, and we know where she's at now. But yeah, I like their pairing. I thought it was awesome. Did WWE fail to get Ted DiBiase Jr. over, or did Ted fail to get himself over in WWE? The one thing I'm going to say is that when he was in Legacy, it was all geared to Ted DiBiase moving ahead and not Cody Rhodes. So honestly, something must have happened behind the scenes to have Ted DiBiase knocked down where he was, because he was going to be pushed. He was going to be pushed after Randy Orton. I think Randy Orton's whole storyline with him and Legacy was gearing Ted DiBiase to have the major push that he was supposed to have, but instead of Cody Rhodes. But I really don't know what happened behind the scenes. Like, something must have happened to have him knocked down. I have no idea, but it's a shame. And I think that more likely him not being able to get over in WWE rather than the WWE not being able to push him. Something happened and to make him fall so fast. What did you think of his father? I love Ted DiBiase. I love the $1 Million Man. He had those classic moments, and I love that laugh. Like, seriously, my favorite moments is when he was literally had like a stack of money, and he had his maid iron his money out, and I just loved it. She had like $100 bills, and he was literally ironing because it had creases in them. And then the $1 Million belt, classic $1 Million belt. He had his own belt made. That's phenomenal. I love that. He had his own belt made. You don't really see that anymore. And the $1 Million belt was one of my favorites. Like, seriously, I loved it. I really did. And I kind of missed the guy, but he comes around from time to time. But honestly, he classic moments in the golden era. What did you think of Rikishi? He was a fun character. He really was, but I would never want to be behind that butt. Like, seriously, the stink face is probably one of the most dreaded moves ever in WWE history. Having that large butt crack in your face, this is something that's not thrilling. That'll probably give you nightmares for life. But yeah, man, great question. And I'm sorry I probably got it wrong. I have no idea how to say your name. I'm just gonna call you John from now on. But anyway, my next set of questions comes from Regional D Huff. I'm telling you, man, I really believe that somehow you have to be related to me. I don't know. You must be related to me somehow. But anyway, your first questions for me is, what did you think of the 3 episodes of Girl Meets World that has aired, and what are your top favorite characters so far in the show and why? Okay. The one I like Maya because Maya has a lot of character in her. Sure, she's just like Shawn. She's more troubled than Shawn, but in a way, she has a bit more common sense than Shawn did. But even though she doesn't really know a lot about herself, she makes her own. She has a lot of self discovery moving on. I think that's the most. That's the character that's going to really grow the most. A lot more than Riley. But I really feel that that's the character that's going to grow the most because she really doesn't have any parental guidance except for Riley's family. So I think that's the person that's going to really grow the most. Unlike Shawn, that he grew, but then you had everybody in the other cast growing with him. You had Topanga growing with him. You had Corey growing with him. They all grew at the same time. But Riley is going to probably grow less than Maya, and I really think Maya is going to have the most growth. That's why I love her character. Riley is pretty cool too. Riley's just like her dad. And I think that's the reason why people like her so much is because she's just like Corey. And just like Corey started off to be a really naive guy with Shawn, who pretty much had a lot of life that hit him that made him grow up a little bit faster. And they kind of grew off each other, which was really great to see. But it seems like that Riley is trying too hard to be like Maya and not learning from her, while Maya is probably going to learn a lot from her as well as from her dad. So that's why I'm saying that Maya's going to have the most growth. But I went back to that old question. I like Farkle is just like Minkus, but not quite. Farkle is more annoying than Minkus. But Minkus had more of a know-it-all kind of air to him, while Farkle's just trying to get the girl. So that's what makes them different. I don't necessarily like Luke. I think his name is Luke. I don't necessarily. It's not that he's a bad guy. It's just he's way too early in the game to be a love interest for Riley. Plus, he doesn't really seem like he has a lot of character or chemistry with Riley. He has more chemistry with Maya than with Riley. I feel like that Luke and Maya should get together, not him and Riley. They're both absolute opposites. They're cute together, but personality-wise, they're kind of completely different. But you know, that's what I like about the whole story so far. That's what I like about the show so far. They actually bring back elements of Boy Meets World, but then kind of make a new edgy thing with the daughter, and either or it still works. Like they're taking old school elements and making it new. That's why I like it so much, and I still enjoy it. I still watch it every Friday, and if I can't watch it, I record it. But great question. What are your top Boy Meets World characters? Corey, Topanga, and Shawn. I didn't necessarily like Angela that much because Angela was a girl that needed to be slapped. Shawn did everything he possibly could to get that girl to loosen up and let alone like him and love him, but she just made it hard. I know she came from a real military-esque background, but she did that on herself. Even her dad told her to chill out. That's why I didn't really like Angela that much. Plus, there's far too many black stereotypes, and I'm not getting into that. I'm not starting that train. But I didn't really like Angela that much. But I love Topanga. And Corey and Topanga was like the love story for the ages. I love those two. And I love Shawn because he learned a lot from Corey as well as Topanga as a whole. So those are my three favorite characters. Those are my top favorite characters. What did you think? Do you think Stephanie is way too old to be wrestling Brie at SummerSlam? Stephanie is in her mid-30s, just like you. Stephanie's a lot older than me. She is about maybe 3 years older than me. Like, I'm 34, so she's about 37. Like, she's reaching 40. But she looks good for her age. Like, seriously, she has a body like a brick house. Like, no lie. Like, she'll probably be able to handle herself decently in a ring. And I don't think it's going to be that much of a problem. The fact is, will her kids be able to see mommy go in the ring? And how will they take their mom literally being body slammed on the mat? But, you know, their parents are in the wrestling business. And I guess it's something they got to get used to. But I think that Stephanie will be able to handle herself. She didn't really handle herself that well in her 20s because she didn't really wrestle that often. But I really think that now, with her body being the way it is and how cut it is, I think she's going to be absolutely fine when she wrestles against Brie. But Brie, on the other hand, that's the bigger question. Is Brie going to be pregnant by then? I have no idea. Maybe she's going to hold off on pregnancy. But my guess is that if the case is that Brie wants to be wants to beat Stephanie, which she might just do that. I think she's just probably gonna disappear for a while. But that's just me. But yeah, great set of questions, man. And let me go to the next set of questions. I love watermelons. 525. Great name, man. Great tag name. Okay. Do you think Bret Hart does not care anymore since he hasn't colored his hair, or since he hasn't colored his hair? Okay, okay. Do you think that Bret Hart doesn't care anymore since he hasn't colored his hair? His hair is white, and he doesn't seem to react to anything when he makes rare appearances to WWE TV like he did in 2010. I'm gonna be real. I really feel that Bret Hart is still a little bitter. That's just me. From the interviews that I have seen on WWE Network, he doesn't seem interested at all. He probably came back because Vince either begged him or because he missed the business. I don't think it has anything to do with the company, and I don't think it has anything to do with Vince. I think he probably still, even though he did bury the hatchet with Shawn Michaels, there has to be something in him that he just doesn't care. Because if he kind of, I'm not going to say that he doesn't love the business anymore. He's going to always love being a wrestler. But I don't think he cares much for Vince at all. And I don't think that he cares much for the brand. But I think he's going to always love wrestling. And I think he's just there just out of favor, maybe. That's just how I personally see it. I think that Vince is, I think that Bret is just done. I think he's done with the entire brand. And I think he's done with Vince. But he just does it because, out of his, out of favors, and also from his niece Natalia. So that's just how I personally see it. I think he does it just strictly as a favor. What did you think of NXT season 1 in 2010? I loved it. Like, seriously, I absolutely thought it was awesome. I loved NXT, and I think that was the time when I actually started to fall in love with it, because NXT was something that was totally different from the actual Raw brand. You actually saw wrestlers in their raw, like seriously, in their very amateur moments. They weren't totally amateurs. Some of them probably came from other places, but you saw them like develop their characters in front of your eyes. It was kind of like an internship for wrestling. That's how I saw it. That's how I personally see NXT being an internship. For those that really want to be on the main card, you see them in their prime, and like in their characters that they develop for themselves, and they're in their rawest form. And that's why I love it. And it's mostly about wrestling and how great they are, their techniques, how well they move, and how they actually start to develop as a character around that time. And that's what really makes me like NXT, to see them in their prime. But what makes me sad now is to actually see these NXTers coming from NXT to the main card and having their character completely revamped and changed. Yeah, that's the only thing that bothers me. What did you think of Scott Steiner's run in the WWE when he returned in late 2002 and his feud with Triple H and Test in 2003? It was pretty interesting. I liked Scott Steiner back in the day. I really, really did. There was nothing but awesomeness coming from that man when it came to him being the genetic freak. And every time he did that and just kissed his muscles, I loved it. And the chainmail when he came out with was awesome. His promos were funny because they made no sense, but it didn't even matter to me. It was just the fact that he was there, and that's just why I loved it. And his feud with Test, I don't know. I think that was before Test became a villain. I think, if I can remember that well. But honestly, his feud with I think his feud with Test and Triple H was pretty funny. Promo wise, funny. Storyline wise, pretty good, not so bad. But yeah. Moving on from there, Final Limits, of course, it's always gonna be you like the most awesome cat on the planet. But let's move on to your questions. What did you think of the Crow gimmick? What did you think of the Crow gimmick of Sting? Do you think WCW or Sting himself did that in tribute to Brandon Lee, who passed away and had the character in the movie The Crow? I don't know if it was a tribute. I think it was just maybe a cool, dark character to use. Because honestly, how can you pay tribute to The Crow? I don't know. I guess I really wouldn't. I guess people saying that imitation is the best form of flattery or something like that. Maybe he was doing it out of a tribute. Maybe he wasn't. I don't know. But me personally, I don't consider it to be a tribute. I consider it to be morbid, and it really, really was morbid. For me, it was. But I'm an overthinker. Um, what did you think of the Sting Crow theme song? Creepy. Anything in relation to the Crow and the fact that Brandon Lee passed away that quick was creepy. Seriously, it just was. I just really, really was creeped out by his music. But that's how it was. That's how it was for me back then. What did you think when Brandon Lee died on movie set? It was really eerie because his dad did died the same way. His dad died filming his I can't remember. I don't think it was The Last Dragon. It probably was The Last Dragon. I can't remember. Um but it was a movie that he did with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and that was his final movie. I think he died on that set. He died on the movie set as well, but this time he actually died by a squib hitting him in the chest. A squib, like, well, not a squib. I think it was either a squib or just like a no, it was a blank. It was a blank that actually killed him. But they said that the blank was actually replaced with a real bullet, and I'm like, either or, just talking about it really creeps me out, to be honest with you. But yeah, it was really eerie, the fact that his dad died the same way. It was just really eerie. But God rest their souls. Um, and they're in a better place now. But anyway, the whole thing just really creeped me out. Have you ever watched Hey Dude in the 80s? Oh yeah, I watched Hey Dude a lot. I love me some Hey Dude. It was hilarious. I really missed that show, but it brought out a whole lot of stars. Of course. Have you ever watched Different Strokes in the 80s? Yes. I really did watch Different Strokes in the 80s. I loved Different Strokes. That was my favorite show to watch. Especially Todd Bridges, and oh man. Arnold was probably my favorite character on the show. Arnold will always be my favorite character on the show. God bless him. He's up there somewhere, or wherever. Hopefully he's happy, because he was miserable throughout his life, and I'm hoping that he was happy before he passed away. But yeah, I love that show. I really did watch it a lot. And my final set of questions comes from Nintendo Fanboy 1988. Which wrestler, in your opinion, has the best entrance in video games and in real life? Bray Wyatt. Hands down, Bray Wyatt. I would say The Undertaker, because The Undertaker always had phenomenal entrances, especially during WrestleMania. But now that The Undertaker is gone, in my humble opinion, it's Bray Wyatt. Because Bray Wyatt has the fans reacting to him. Having the cell phones in the air like lanterns. That's awesome. I don't think anybody could pull that off. Seriously, I love that. I really did. So I have to say Bray Wyatt for right now. Plus he has a really, really kind of eerie vibe to his music, as well as to the whole reaction that the crowd has with him. So yeah, Bray Wyatt. What did you think of Triple H's theme song? The one that he used, My Time Back in 2000. Triple H has so many themes. The only thing I can think of is the one that sounds like a modem. It sounded like a modem for the entrance, and it was like when and Stephanie came out with it. Honestly, I didn't like it. I love Motorhead. I love the two Motorhead songs that he has now. But in 2000, if you're talking about the one that he had that sound like a freaking modem, like it just, what's up, this on, and like it sounded. I know it doesn't sound like that, but it literally sounded like a modem. And no, I hated that. I hated that song. But it seems like the Motorhead kind of stuck with the same notes, same beat, same everything with the latest one that he has now. Do you think that Stardust gimmick is stupid? No, I actually think that Stardust actually does it better than Goldust. That's what makes it interesting, and I laugh every time Stardust blows his little twinkle dust in the mouth of Goldust. I laugh so hard when he always eats a mouthful of gold. Like, I think that's just so hilarious. And he's honestly doing it better than Goldust. Seriously. He's doing that gimmick way better than Goldust. That's why I love it. And I hope that they continue with it for a while. And plus, it's a whole new angle for Cody. You know, he's always a serious guy. He's always trying to be taken seriously. And the whole dashing Cody Rhodes gimmick was lame. The whole disfigurement was lame. This is pretty much the most interesting Cody Rhodes has ever been in a while. Not only that, it's a total different direction from who he used to be. So I'm all for him. Seriously, I'm all for the Stardust gimmick, and I hope he keeps it around for a while. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for asking me, well, sending me these questions. Thank you so much for sending me these questions. And if you have any other questions for me, please send them to me via YouTube at RKH30, via YouTube inbox, or on Twitter at RKH30, hashtag NatureGirlQ&A. It's NatureGirl30 signing off. Peace out, y'all. Later.